Hey friends, my name is Linda Moon and I'm the director of Grow Kids Curriculum.
Friends, and I'm Kelly Gentry. I am the manager of community engagement. Welcome to Grow Curriculum Deep Dive for the fourth series already in Grow Kids Volume 7.
I know it's already the fourth series. It's wow. Okay. So we are in our second quarter. If you are following our recommended scope and sequence, our November series is called On the Right Track. It's a 4-week series from the Old Testament all about Joshua. And if you are new to these deep dives, then our goal is to give you a head start in preparing for what you're going to be teaching in the following month. And even if you're not a Grow user who's not following our scope and sequence or using any of our materials, it's totally fine. We're so happy you're here anyway. And we hope that there's plenty of stuff here for you to steal and take back and use in your ministries as well.
For the next few minutes, Linda and I get to share with you the big picture view of what you can expect during this series, as well as a more in depth look at some of the specifics that you're not going to want to miss. So, the first thing is we are going to give you an overview of the Bible stories and the big idea for this month. Then we're going to take a look at the theme for the series, which will give you some decorating ideas and other fun ways to get on the right track getting started with this series. And then finally, we will go over some of the special features in this series, and you will have everything that you need to get started.
So, in week 1 of On the Right Track, we go back to when Joshua's name gets put on the map in Numbers chapters 13 through 14. And this is a story of when Joshua and Caleb were the 2 out of 12 spies who were unwavering in their faith in God's promises about bringing them into the promised land, while the other 10 couldn't look past the fortified walls and the formidable inhabitants of Canaan. So, the Bible story will help kids trust God too, because obstacles are no problem for God.
In week 2, we take a look at how Joshua led the people of Israel in their journey into the promised land. We start in Joshua chapter 1 with God's words specific to him: be strong and courageous. We're going to look at Joshua chapter 24, which shows his continued faithfulness, as he says famously that he and his household will serve the Lord. Love that. And we can see that Joshua is in fact strong and courageous because he trusted God and what he said to him, which is why this week's big idea is courage comes from knowing God's words.
That brings us to week 3, which is a story of how Rahab helped the Israelite spies in Joshua chapter 2. And Rahab might not have been anyone's first draft pick in helping out the spies or any of the Israelite people in Jericho, but she successfully helped the spies hide and escape. And this story reminds us and the kids that anyone can do big things for God and can help kids to say confidently, God can use someone like me.
Finally, in week 4, we are in Joshua 5 and 6, which is the story of the fall of Jericho. Joshua and the Israelites may have thought that marching around the city and blowing trumpets was not much of a military tactic, but I think that might exactly be the point. The walls of Jericho came down not because of anything the Israelite army did, but because of everything that God did. This story reminds us to stick with God because with God there is victory.
Yes, and this month's memory verse reminds us to stick with God too. It comes from Hebrews chapter 10 verse 23. Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. Okay, now let's talk about the theme. As you can tell, Kelly and I are big fans of the theme. We love using the theme to help make things stick into a kid's mind, but the themes are, of course, optional. We totally understand that not every church can or even wants to do a monthly theme, and that's totally okay. But we find that an exciting theme is just another tool that we can use to engage kids and make those connections to what they're learning from scripture. This month's decorating theme is cars because we're talking about the course to the promised land. And the Israelites might not have been on the fast track to the promised land, but they were on the right track because they followed God's lead. It's a super fun theme, and I think it works surprisingly well with the Bible stories. For example, in week one, when you talk about obstacles are no problem for God, doesn't that automatically remind you of Mario Kart? Or doesn't the story of marching around the walls of Jericho remind you of NASCAR or Indy 500 or something like that? I'm not all that great with all the race car talk, but you know what we're talking about. So, to that end, Kelly has much more to say on how to incorporate the theme into your ministry this month. Kelly, take it away.
I love that. They might not have been on the fastest track, but they were absolutely on the right track. So, your ministry needs a racetrack, right? Whether you purchase a racetrack rug or make one out of tape and cardboard or sidewalk chalk, your kids will love to drive cars around your space this month. Amazon also has a ton of different race car birthday kits, which, hot tip, these decoration kits are my favorite because they're so affordable. They save me a ton of time. And honestly, I'm not that crafty. I love a good costume, but I'm not that crafty. So, birthday party kits are where it's at for me. Giveaways are always a crowd pleaser in my ministry as well. And it's really fun to celebrate a kid's birthday or to celebrate them memorizing the monthly memory verse. So this month, we recommend these really adorable car themed notepads from Oriental Trading, or even these car balloon racers, which are also from Oriental Trading. Everybody can get one. And when it comes to snacks, this series has a green light because we can make stoplight brownies. You can buy brownies or make them and just add a green, red, and yellow M&M to make your own stoplights. And if you feed your kids an actual breakfast on Sunday mornings, you can always feed them spare tires or maybe bagels. But no matter what you choose to do this month, be sure to tag us on Facebook, on Instagram. We love to see what you guys come up with every single month as well.
Yes, we really love it when you tag us. And occasionally you'll see that we might tag you back and we'll feature you on our accounts as well. So make sure you do that because you all are so creative and we love what you do with the themes in your space. And also, don't forget to check out that environment guide that has more ideas, more craft ideas, music suggestions, and a curated Spotify playlist for elementary and preschool, and also graphics guides including theme fonts and colors and links to a Pinterest board. So much stuff there that you don't want to miss out on. So make sure you check that out and get your space ready for On the Right Track. So, we gave you an overview of the series and we gave you a look into how to theme up your ministry spaces. So, we're going to now talk about some of the exciting features we have for On the Right Track. Now, if you have been using Grow for a while, you know that some things always do stay the same. Like our teaching content is always broken up into three sections: the what section, the so what section, and the now what section. In the what section, we like to do a little bit of a teaser, a lot of icebreakers, and just ways to kind of set up kids into what we're going to learn about today. This is also where we set up kind of the felt need that we're talking about this week. And then we have the so what section where the bulk of the teaching takes place. And that's where we teach the scripture, we reveal the big idea, we have object lessons, teaching videos, and all that stuff to help kids remember the story. And then we move on to the now what section, which is kind of like your application section. We have kids reflecting and developing action plans and discussing and making crafts and all sorts of fun stuff. All of these things designed to make each week's lesson just a great and meaningful time for you and your kids.
So that basic structure stays the same every time. But each series uses a combination of building blocks like activities, videos, reflections, responses, and more in each major section to help you teach the material in a fun and exciting way. Each series does something different with the building blocks, which always keeps it engaging for kids. So, Linda, tell us, which features of On the Right Track do you want to talk about?
I want to start with the reflection section, which is the recommended first activity in the Now What section. So it's the first thing we're doing for the application portion. And of course, you are welcome to arrange these building blocks in any order you want. But I like the idea of starting off the application section of our teaching time by slowing down from videos and games and just having kids kind of reflect. And think more deeply about what it is that they learned and just wonder out loud together. So each week for this series, the reflection section is a segment called Pit Stop. You can introduce the segment with these words in your lesson guide that's provided for you. It's really cute. It says, every racer needs to take a pit stop so their pit crew can refuel their cars, refuel their tires, and make any repairs needed. We're going to use this time to think about what we've been talking about so far. And I think this is just a great way to draw your kids in and have those conversations. And you'd be surprised at just how deep of a connection the kids make with scripture. So it'll be a really great time for all of us. What about you, Kelly? What do you want to draw our attention to in this series?
Yeah, the theme of this series is so perfect. Just like the Israelites, your kids are going to talk about real life application of how to navigate obstacles and pit stops and take tight turns in order to stay on the right track, which can be really difficult. But in week 3 of this series, kids will actually have a chance to slow down and reflect, like Linda was talking about. And they're going to have a chance to write down some victories that they hope to see in their lives. And I love the specific attention that this series draws to the spiritual habits of grow.
Yeah, I love that because we want kids to be able to celebrate their wins and also more specifically about the ways God brings about those wins in their lives. So I'm really glad that we get to talk about that this month. One more thing I want to point out for this month are the memory verse activities. We want to help kids hold on to these monthly verses in their hearts for as long as possible. So we suggest making this super fun. So for those of you who are utilizing the theme, some of the suggestions we have included for each week are like you're using different colored flags to have kids say the verse in different speeds. Those of you who know race car lingo, you know what the different color of the flags mean. And then writing the memory verse on a 4x4 grid and blocking out every other word to create a checkered flag. We have kids sitting in a circle and using like a pullback race car to pass to each kid so that they can continue the memory verse one word at a time. Super fun. It's like a upgraded hot potato situation or popcorn situation, maybe. And also, in addition to those ideas, we have some standalone resources that we provide for you. We have a memory verse coloring page, we have memory verse sign language motions, and at the end of each teaching video, we have a segment called Drop the Verse, where the words are set to a rap. And before you think it's like kind of cheesy or corny, it works. It's like an earworm in their heads, and the kids, they remember it. So I know you all have super creative ways to help kids memorize scripture as well, and you can share them with us. But just make sure you take some time to put some creativity into how the kids can do this. Kelly, tell us one more thing that the users absolutely must know as they teach on the right track next month.
If you have not seen our Grow at Home handouts, On the Right Track is the perfect series to use those. Each month, we want your families to be able to connect and continue the conversation at home together. So check those out in the volunteers and parents folder of this series so that your families can continue on the right track at home each week.
For sure. I love that parents can get a little cheat sheet about what their kids were learning. And so they don't have to rely on asking their kids, like, what did you learn today? Because often they might not give you the answer that they're looking for. So this has been a great chat, Kelly. Thank you for being here. And thank you, all of you, for being here on this deep dive journey with us. We cannot wait to see what you do with this series. I already can envision it's going to be a blast. So blow it up in the Facebook groups with your photos, tag us in your Instagram posts, and you can find us in case you're not watching this in our Facebook group. You can find us in Facebook by searching for Stuff You Can Use, a children's ministry community. Once again, thank you for everything you're doing to help kids know and follow Jesus. Please reach out if you need anything from us, and we'll see you next month.
And if anybody out there is a professional race car driver and wants to take Linda and I for a ride, hit us
Hey,
up. We would love to go around the track with you.
we sure would.
Bye, friends.
Bye.